Okay, I was thinking about talking about the airplane a little bit. Um, so, my setting, it may seem a little weird, but I'm laying out in the backyard at my house. I try to get some vitamin D this time of year and just lay out for maybe an hour every weekend or so. And in doing so, I don't really have anything to do other than read or watch videos or whatever I want to do. And I need to make a blog post about the airplane, so I figured I would just maybe talk about it on the video here and go from there. So yesterday, I flew up with my dad to see my airplane, and I did see it. It was the first time in 5 weeks that I saw it, and I'm pretty happy with where things are. The shop is very, very slow, and but they do seem to do good work. So frankly, I would rather have them be slow and do good work than not do good work and be fast. The airplane seems to be in desperate need for some good work, and that's kind of the big takeaway. I mean, the main reason I brought it in there was to fix those wing cracks, but there's some other things that I'm having fixed, and as they get into it, they're finding more and more wrong with it. So the overall theme is that and I'm not going to bother going into all the details, but the overall theme is that whether it's the previous owner or the previous A&P or both, I'm not sure, but I don't think a dime was spent on that airplane that didn't have to be. And when I say didn't have to, I mean absolutely flight critical. There's just nothing. There's evidence all over the airplane of just not giving a shit, and I give a shit. And examples are nut plates that are rusted to shit. You know, like you pull off the wingtips and all the nut plates on the sheet metal that hold the wingtips on are just rusted to shit. And that's the kind of thing you'd think on an annual, or maybe every other annual or something. You'd say, hey, I'm going to get some new nut plates, get rid of these crusty ones, and get some decent ones, you know. And in the rudder area, there was an illegal patch on the rudder. And somehow it made it 30 something years. I don't know. But the guy who's working on the plane was saying it's an illegal patch. And they took the patch off, and what they saw underneath just wasn't conducive for a repair. So they went ahead and decided to reskin it with new skin from Piper. So I bought that, and of course the cost went up, but whatever. And but the rudder looks fantastic. But in doing so, they found a bunch of corrosion inside the rudder, and luckily it wasn't bad enough to have to replace any structural pieces, but it was definitely a thing. So they had to get it all cleaned up, and then they primed it all. And they showed me the rudder yesterday when I was up there. It's not reattached to the airplane yet, but I was pretty impressed. I mean, it literally looked like a brand new rudder. Like everything was just beautiful on it. So I'm excited about that. But around the rudder, I mean, I'm not an A&P, so you're listening to a guy who doesn't know really what he's talking about. But around the rudder, there's a bunch of little pieces. Like there's a piece on the top that actually has a counterweight, sort of like fiberglass into it. It was kind of neat. I had no idea it worked that way. But the fasteners that hold that on and hold some of the other little fiberglass pieces on and around the rudder, um, he was telling me the wrong screws were used. And he explained it to me, but I honestly didn't track with what he was saying. Um, but he showed me one of the screws, and the threads were just damaged to crap. I don't know if they tried to use some kind of self-tapping nut plate or what. I don't really know, but that seems pretty rookie to me. And just just looking around the airplane, the wing seals that run around the wing roots keep rain and moisture out. They were shit, so I'm having those replaced. just so many little things. Oh, and I wanted him to redo the fiberglass cap on the very front of the airplane, and they said they would do it, and they're gonna do it, but they quoted me like $400 to basically re-fiberglass over it and gel coat over it and just make it all and paint it, which I thought was a pretty damn good deal. But when they got it off, they realized there was some structural damage to the actual cowling, and he actually showed it to me. Like I don't think I'm getting taken to the cleaners. He showed it to me, and it was pretty. Yeah, I mean there were some bolt holes and things that were just about to go. So it's going to up the cost. I got to get that whole fiberglass thing just completely redone, but I feel pretty good that they will be able to do it. It's just money, right? In the end, um, so I'm excited, I guess, on one level because I'm getting the airplane how I want it to be. But then I'm kind of mad because I bought it in the first place. I really shouldn't have bought the airplane, and there were clues along the way, but most of the clues were when I got to it, and by then I had just invested too much of my heart and soul and emotions and frankly even money because I bought airline tickets and everything to get up there, and I was kind of bent over a barrel. And it's possible the seller knew that. I don't know. What's done is done. I don't really blame him. I blame myself, but. Um, Bottom line, I'm going to have a nice airplane when I'm done, but I'm going to have paid probably $15,000 more than I should have, and that's unpleasant. I mean, that's just fucking unpleasant. There's no way around that. But say la vie, some people buy their first plane and they go flying and they have a good time, and that's that. And unfortunately, my path wasn't that smooth, but I'm getting there, and I will get there, and it's going to be totally fine. But that's kind of an update. They're fixing some things on the metal part. So basically, when the airplane is done and I get it back, all three wheel pants are going to be repainted and restriped. The From the firewall forward, and I'm not talking about underneath, I'm talking about just cowling stuff, is all going to be redone. They're actually refabricating parts of the cowling due to crappy patches that were there and some holes and just damage that really more reasons I shouldn't have bought the plane, but since I did, I need to get it done. I need to get it right. So they're doing that, and the fiberglass cap and the spinner. So all of that's going to be fully repainted. So when you look at the airplane from the firewall forward is going to be fully brand new paint. And all three wheel pants will be newly painted and striped. And then the left wing, the top of the left wing, will be freshly painted, and the rudder will be freshly painted. The rest of it is pretty good, and they're going to buff it all out for me with rubbing compound and an air buffer, and it should shine up pretty well. So I think aesthetically it's going to look pretty damn good when they're done. And a lot of what I'm paying for is aesthetics. I mean, I was telling my wife that a lot of people probably would have bought the airplane and said, let's go flying, and just take off and fly. And who knows, I could have done that for maybe 10 years. I mean, a lot of what I'm doing are just things that eat at me, like holes in the cowling and crappy fiberglass. And I just don't roll that way. And so part of what I'm paying for is to get the airplane up to my standards. But I just... yeah, but I'm pretty excited when I get it back. It's also going to be freshly out of the annual, and the annual is probably only a third of the way done right now, so there still is some risk associated with what they may find, but barring that, I'm probably looking at somewhere about $7,500, possibly even as high as $8,000 to have all this initial crap done. In addition to overpaying for the airplane in the first place. So there's where the 15 grand comes from. But anyway, we'll get it done, we'll get it right, and we'll get her out there in the air and fly around, and that's, as time passes, a year or two passes, all this initial clusterfuckery at the beginning will be a thing of the past, and I'll be out there flying, having a good time, and that'll be that. So that's where we are, but I'm still in the thick of it now, but I'm really looking forward to getting my bird back. It'll probably be something like 2 weeks, 3 weeks until I get it back. So that's kind of an update. I figure I can leave it faster verbally than I can, um, typing. So that's where we are, and I'm gonna finish getting my tan on here and head inside, enjoy the rest of my Easter Sunday. And tomorrow I go to work, hit the ground running, making money to pay for this thing, and such is the life of an airplane owner. You got bills to pay, of course, but then you got the airplane to pay for, and so I'm gonna go to work and continue paying for this airplane. So, so there we go. Catch you later on. Happy Easter. See you.